Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Hemberger and this is my presentation for EDL 850 Module 1. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Argonia, Kansas, which is a super small town southwest of Wichita. We are located in Sumner County, which is the wheat county of Kansas. We produce the most wheat there. So it is a very rural area. The town that I'm from is about a town of 500 right now. With a lot of farmers surrounding it. That picture right on the left is a picture of my family. I have 10 brothers and sisters and 12 nieces and nephews. And I do have two sisters that are pregnant right now and have babies due in August and September. So we have been doing a lot of things with them as their babies are about to be born. I am a huge K-State Wildcat fan. I love purple. I bleed purple. I really miss Manhattan. I spent a lot of time there going to school. And I do love to play and coach volleyball. I coached high school volleyball at Argonia for 3 years, but I decided to give that up when I decided to pursue my teaching here at my behavior school and my educational master's. And then the picture on the right is a picture of my boyfriend, Aaron, and his two kids, Erilyn and Trace. I'm kind of a Chiefs bandwagoner fan. I wasn't really a fan until I started dating him, but I'm a huge fan now. For my educational background, I was at Kansas State University where I got my bachelor's degree in elementary education and a provisional endorsement in special education. After I graduated, I got my first teaching job and I went ahead and started my master's degree in special education, and I got that within 2 years. Now I am attending Fort Hays State University pursuing my master's degree in educational leadership. My entire teaching career has been in special education. I am now K through 12 certified with high incidence. I taught at USD 475 on Fort Riley for 2 years while I was getting my master's. Then I decided I wanted to move back closer to home. So I started working for Sumner County Interlocal, and we are a cooperative, and we serve 5 different schools within Sumner County. I taught 4 years at Argonia Elementary as the K through 5 special education teacher. Then last year, I guess, I taught at Sumner County Academy, which is our day school in Wellington, and we service all of our behavior kiddos within our cooperative. And then now this year, I will be the lead teacher at Sumner County Academy. Over our middle school, high school, and elementary teacher while I am getting my master's degree. The 3 levels of government control of public education. The rules at the local level include accountability and operation, so they get to determine how a school is going to operate. There is a school board that selects a superintendent, they hire staff, they determine curriculum being taught with input from the superintendent, decide when schools are going to close, consolidate, or be constructed, and they collect taxes within the school district for funding. The superintendent is in charge of overall budgeting, day-to-day operations, and taking proposals to the school board. So they're the ones that are in and around the schools daily, and then they present issues and anything that needs to be taken to the school board for the school board meetings. The roles at the state level include, they are the primary accountability and oversight of public education. They establish their own departments of education, pass laws governing school practices, implementing educational standards for districts to follow, which right now would be the Common Core state standards, and then they provide just less than half of funding to schools for their operating costs. So this is income and sales tax. Roles at the federal level, they fund just about 10% of schools' operating costs. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission prohibits discrimination and making sure that these laws are implemented throughout the schools. ESSA, which is Every Student Succeeds Act, it reduced the federal role in school accountability, and it eliminated 100% of proficiency for students, and it omitted the requirements for teacher evaluation. So this act came into place after No Child Left Behind, and so kind of scaled back what the federal government is required to do as far as public education goes. The Elementary and Secondary Education Act, or ESEA, offers state funding on a conditional basis. So that would be supports on top of funding from the state and local governances, but it would be for like Title I students, or low-income kiddos, students with disabilities, English language learners, those sorts of things. It's on top of the funding that we already receive. And the mission at the federal level is to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access. Some 4 principles that Barron and Harris both said the federal governance should follow. Says students should not be denied equal educational opportunity based on race, ethnicity, gender, and disability. Provide compensatory funding for high-need students living in poverty or with a disability. Support educational research about the nation's education system and policies and procedures, and support the development and conditions for improvements of the state and local educational systems. So these are policies that they said that they should follow and should keep in mind when making laws and policies and procedures. So who is in charge at the local level? School districts are governed by a school board whose members are elected or appointed. Overall decisions are voted on at the school board meetings. They approve all hires, fires, and policy changes. And then right below the school board members is the superintendent who oversees the day-to-day procedures. And I would say at the local level, they have the most control over their schools, but they do have the least amount of power because they still have to follow the policies and procedures set forth at the state and federal levels, but they get to choose how their school is going to be run, who's going to be in their school, what they're going to teach with, and all of that. So they do have the most control, I believe. Who's in charge at the state level? Our Kansas governor is Laura Kelly. We have a Kansas State Board of Education, which consists of 10 members that are overseeing different sections of Kansas. And then we have a Kansas Commission of Education, who is Dr. Randy Watson. And overall, at the state level, they administer governance of education, the standards and assessments, special education services, child nutrition and wellness, title programs and services, career and technical education, and financial aid. So they have less direct control over the schools, but they definitely have more power in that they make sure that all of those bullet points I just went through are taken care of at the local level. So less direct control, but definitely more power at the state level. And then who's in charge at the federal level? Our Secretary of Education is Betsy DeVos. Our funds at the federal level come from the Department of Education, the Department of Health and Human Services Head Start program, and the Department of Agriculture's School Lunch program. At the federal level, they use a complex system of funding mechanisms, policy directives, and power of the presidential bully pulpit to shape what, how, and where students are going to learn. This is paid through taxpayer monies. And the most and this at the federal level, I believe, they have the most power as they direct to the state level, but they definitely have less direct control over our schools. When looking how these 3 levels go along with our NELP Standard 6, I kind of had a hard time deciding on a couple of them, and I'll explain that as I go through them. So component 6.1, I definitely felt is at the local level. Implementing management, communication technology, operation systems, supporting each student's learning needs, promoting your mission and vision of the school. That is all local within your school board, superintendent, and your staff members working together to make sure that that is happening. Component 6.2, evaluate, develop, and advocate for a data-informed and equitable resourcing plan that supports school improvement and student development. I think that this starts at the state level, and it's definitely there, but I also feel like at the local level, they're concerned about this too, in that making sure our school is, developing students that are ready for life afterwards, and that the school is constantly improving and working towards that, but then it's mostly is overseen by the state. So that's where I'm at with, I think that both, I think the state is most pertinent here, but then the local also does help. And then component 6.3, reflectively evaluate, communicate about, and implement laws, rights, policies, and regulations to promote student and adult success and well-being. And I think that this is most important at the federal level, as that's where it starts. But then I think that it trickles down into the state level as well. And they work together to make sure that we are promoting student and adult success and well being. And this directly ties into my next slide of how this is all incorporated and works together for educational success and well being of adults and students. And so each level of governance knows their roles and responsibility, but ultimately work together to ensure our students and staff members are being successful in the educational setting. So that's where, like, one level cannot work without the other. We all have to work together, knowing what you do, what you're supposed to do at your level, and holding each other accountable at each level, making sure the state's not too controlling over our school districts, at the local level, and the federal isn't too controlling over the state, but letting each level do what they're supposed to do and help each other out. And I love the quote here that teamwork makes the dream work. And that's why I love teaching in Kansas. And I really have no desire to teach anywhere else. But I do feel like we have a very good system, and we work really well together at all levels. Thank you. Um, and here are my resources used for this presentation. Thank you for listening.